everyone, I'm Peyton from Rackets Runners, and today we're going to take a look at Brooks's new Ghost Max, the Ghost Max 3. Before we begin, please visit us in-store or check us out online at racketsandrunners.ca. Alright, so some brief background about the Ghost Max. The Ghost Max was originally a shoe created to be more in the Maximalist category. What this means is that it has a higher stack height in both the front and the back of the shoe. Typically, more maximalist shoes have a lower heel drop, and they also tend to have a more severe rocker shape to the bottom of the shoe. Other shoes that fit in this category by different brands, just if you're a bit more familiar with those, are going to be the Hoka Bondi and the New Balance More. So let's get into the updates of what's new about the Ghost Max 3 compared to the Ghost Max 2. Overall, this shoe is more of a feel and look update than a true technology update. It uses the same cushioning formula in the shoe. It has the same specs as the Ghost Max 2. It has a 6mm heel drop, and it has a heel stack height of 39mm and a stack height of 33mm. So why would they make a brand new shoe that is essentially the same thing as the older shoe? I can tell you by wearing this, this was a very different feel than the Ghost Max 2. Some of the hesitations people would have about the Ghost Max 2 was how high it felt. Especially compared to a runner that had a little bit more of a broader base, like the Hoka Bondi 8 and 9. That's where some people were a little bit hesitant about the Ghost Max 2. The Ghost Max 2 was a phenomenal shoe in its own right, but I think the Ghost Max 3 is going to fit a different category of people who were a little bit more hesitant about the Ghost Max 2. So even though this had the same stack height, same cushioning system, and the same heel drop as the Ghost Max 2, it had an unbelievably different feel of the shoe. I was genuinely really surprised when I started researching the specs of the shoe after I put it on for the first time, because after I put it on for the first time, I thought, oh, this shoe feels like it's lower. I thought it had less stack height because it felt a little bit more stable and the rocker didn't feel as intense. Overall, for feel wise, the biggest change in the shoe is that they did make it a little bit more generous throughout the forefoot. It has a little bit of a deeper toe box and there's more room for your toes. And then they also made the base a bit wider, which is what I think contributes to it feeling like a lower shoe because it feels more stable than the previous one. The rocker also did not feel as severe in this shoe as compared to the Ghost Max 2. So those of you who don't particularly care for that feel of almost kind of leaning forward on your toes if you go forward too far, or if you felt unstable or like you were worried about catching the front of your foot in other types of maximalist shoes, the new Ghost Max 3 is going to be a phenomenal fit for that as well, because it's going to give you the cushioning of all of those maximalist shoes, but it is not as abrupt of a rocker at the front, so it's going to feel a little bit more steady. You're going to have more ground feel, and you're going to feel like you have a little bit more control. I do think that the Ghost Max has kind of shifted more towards that walking style runner than a running runner. So this shoe is going to be phenomenal for walking as an everyday shoe, but as a running shoe, I found when I ran in it that it didn't have the same kick and responsiveness to it because it is plusher and it doesn't feel as snappy as even a more cushioned running shoe does. In terms of feel, I'll talk about this in terms of feel as a running shoe and in terms of feel as a walking shoe as well. As a running shoe, if you are going to use this shoe for running, it is going to be more of that slow long distance or recovery run shoe. Or if you're just getting into running and you're just focused completely on protecting your feet and making sure your feet aren't hurt from higher impact from longer distances, this would be a shoe in that category. It's not going to really be good as a tempo shoe, or if you're getting more into your running, you may want to consider something with a little bit more cushion and responsiveness than this shoe. Even though this shoe is the same stack height as the Ghost Max 2, I did find that this shoe was felt more flexible than the Ghost Max 2. So I did notice when I was running, it did feel like my feet were flexing a bit more. So if you need a stiffer or more severe rocker, you might want to consider a shoe a little bit more like the older Ghost Max, like the Hoka Bondi or the New Balance More. If you like a bit more of that flexibility in your shoes, this would be a good fit for you. As I said before, I do feel like this shoe has shifted more towards a walking shoe than a running shoe. I've quite enjoyed it as a walking shoe and as an everyday shoe. When I was wearing this at work, I stand for very long periods of times, and it was really nice because I didn't feel my feet aching at the end of the day. And since it has a little bit more of a generous toe box, I didn't get any of that kind of numbness you can get sometimes when your feet are swelling in narrower shoes by the end of the day. If you have been in a more maximalist style shoe for medical issues before, like plantar fasciitis, this would be a good option to try, especially since it's so similar in cushioning to the Ghost Max 2, but it does give you a bit of a different feel and is a bit more stable for walking. If you're looking to get all of the benefits of a maximalist shoe but have found other maximalist shoes to be too tall or unstable for you and you feel uncomfortable because you feel like you're rolling forward too much or you feel too high up off the ground, this shoe is going to give you all of the benefits of a maximalist shoe, but it doesn't really feel like a maximalist shoe in that sense. Overall, again, the update from the Ghost Max 2 to the Ghost Max 3 isn't the biggest update in the world. It has all of the same cushioning specs, the same cushioning system, has a bit of a different feel, and I think the overall biggest takeaway is that it does feel like it shifted more towards a stable walking shoe than a high cushioned protective running shoe. So it's super comfortable and I totally recommend checking it out. If you're unsure of your size, please come visit us in store or check us out online at racketsandrunners.ca.